grace. What it means to me, I'll tell you now. It got me off the road and led my soul astray. The everlasting peace I carry now.
Good morning, afternoon, evening. My name is Jake. I'm back at you with a video now for those of you watching, and for those of you listening. Um, I've got the video I'm going to post on, I believe Spotify accepts videos now, and YouTube. But I just had a couple of things laying around at the camera. I was gifted this really awesome mic from a really great friend. So I'm just kind of trying to create a little vibe in here, doing my best for you guys. Anyways, this is my first time actually behind the camera, which is interesting. So I'm curious to see how things look down the road versus from this first video. I'm pretty excited. So anyways, I just wanted to get on with the testimony here, which would be my testimony. But before I get started, I kind of just wanted to go over a verse that I think is pretty cool. It's Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. It goes, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. And the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." So basically, this whole project kind of started around that verse, just based off of the experiences that I've had over the past few years. Like I kind of stated in the first podcast that I did here. And basically, I do photography kind of as a hobby. And I was kind of starting to write some things and was trying to kind of just inspire people, really. And I kind of decided to hop into a podcast, and the book of Job. We'll kind of start there. Kind of had like a really big impact on me, as far as the story goes, because Job was basically just a normal man, like you and I, or a normal woman, and pretty much ended up losing everything that he had, but still never gave up his faith in God. And we lose people in our lives, we lose spouses, we lose animals, we lose our jobs, we lose our health. And just to be thankful for God that we get up in the morning, for those of us that actually have our health and have our job and have our spouses, I think is just really awesome. But as far as the discovering the fortune and misfortune, I would say, in my opinion, the fortune and misfortune would be finding the love of God through all the circumstances that I've been through personally. 33 years old, lost my brother at 13, was sexually assaulted at 3 years old, lost my father, my grandfather, going through, divorce. So I've had a lot on my plate, and I kind of just recently decided to kind of have a voice, and this is kind of where we're at now. But these are kind of topics I'm going to kind of break into and dive into, and just kind of try to show like some of the silver linings, which probably sounds crazy right now. Like, how are there silver linings on that, right? I don't want to give it all away in one video. It would take forever. But I'm hoping it can reach out to people that have had the same experiences, and maybe we can just communicate back and forth. And I have a cool idea, kind of like a toolbox, concept idea that I've got going on. So I'm pretty excited about that. But anyways, back on to my my testimony here. I would say it pretty much started around COVID times. I got married back in 2020, but like 3 weeks later, the whole venue was shut down, and the world felt like it was absolutely ending. And I'm sure a lot of you guys, can attest to that feeling of like, what's going on? Well, only a couple of weeks of hiding out, and things are going to be fine. Well, the entire world shifted. The entire dynamic of everything shifted. So here I am, like newly, freshly married, and it's like, man, like here we are. This whole world's different now. So like, can't go on dates. And you're starting to see all these like relationships start to kind of crumble. Just family, friends. Um, so that was kind of tough on me there. But you know, at the end of the day, we're just moving along, right? We're people. We're trying to figure things out. No one's perfect there, but all in between all of that, um, I started to kind of get people kind of coming into my life that were just people that were very kind of glowy, kind of happy, throughout the situation. And I'm over here like, man, like, are we all gonna die? Like, kind of scared, honestly. And of course, now I believe when you die, you don't actually die. This is your physical body. I mean, your spirit definitely lives on. You go, you go on further, And I wish I had really, known that. I guess at that time, I think would have helped me out and comforted me a little bit. But I remember my father always telling me, like, know where you're going, man. And shortly after I got married, here comes 2021, and everybody's still kind of struggling through all these things, and his mental health kind of started declining or whatever. And I know he prayed all the time, and unfortunately we ended up losing him in 21. Which, if you ever lost a parent, I mean, that's just rough, man. Like, I don't wish it upon anybody. um, you know but you know kind of starting this podcast, really, I guess, to carry on just all the seeds that got planted by people like my father and, my wife at the time, and all these friends that were, just kind of coming to my life, and they weren't preaching at me. They were just very kind, sweet people. They were like, we want, this is the best for you. And everybody wants the best, right? So it's like, let me show you, a couple things here or there, and just let me talk to you about Jesus and what he did, my life for me and stuff. And, you know, I was kind of like embarrassed. I'm like, why would I, take my life, which I think is awesome, and create all these rules and havoc and, so confused. I'm like, why would I want, God in my marriage? Why would I want another man in my marriage, right? Like, all this stuff seemed very bizarre and weird to me. But all these people were just such kind, awesome people, and they're like, no, man, like that's not, you're getting things twisted, you're getting things messed up over here. So then, eventually my interest started kind of peaking, and I started actually ended up watching like The Chosen, and great show. I loved it. I'm like, this is really awesome, actually. And I think that's kind of what started me actually on that. And it was almost like a gateway, right? Like, honestly. So I ended up watching that, and I was kind of interested, so I started reaching out to my friends, like Matt and Laura. Thank you guys. I love you guys. Um, started asking questions, and my buddy Tony, who great friend of mine, great man. I aspire to be like Tony. Tony's an awesome guy. If you're listening, Tony, I love you, buddy. Hope to have you here talking with me, because I think it'd be great for people to hear. Um, but anyways, that kind of started that. So it kind of started planting the seed in the back of my head. So my dad passes away in 21. And of course, the entire world shifted the dynamics. I think that put a big strain on like my marriage. I had no clue as of how to lead, because the only leading I knew was not of the Lord, really. At the end of the day, and I kind of attribute that to a lot of downfalls in friendships. Even how do you lead? You're the blind leading the blind, right? But I did the best I could for the time being, and you learn as you go, man. So nobody's perfect. It's okay. But my dad passing, that really put a big strain on things. But at the end of the day, he would always tell me, again, know where you're going, Jake. Just make sure you know where you're going. So, like by the time, you know, all these things start kind of collecting and coming to formation, the realization of my dad passing away, the divorce looming, it's like, dude, where do I go? Where am I at here? And, God had me the whole time. I mean, he's priming me up with all these people in my life, all these seeds that got planted. And, you know, I'm super grateful for that, and those people that were patient with me because, stuff started kind of sprouting whenever I needed him the most, and at the end of the day, I guess the meat and potatoes of this whole, section as far as my testimony goes, um, would start with the fact that had planned on going to like a horror convention. My buddy, Spookala, spent a bunch of money on it. It was like $300-400, super excited to go. And as that Sunday rolls around, Dwight Schrute, I'm gonna go see him. I bought the VIP tickets for him or whatever. And I attended Saturday, and I was like, well, this is fun. And by the time Sunday rolls around, I had this really just looming feeling. I'm like, man, I was like, I gotta just really have this feeling. Like, I want to go to church, and I'm like, I don't know why, just I feel like I need to go to church today, man. And of course, I get there, and like everybody, I'm sure can attest, that's probably watching this, maybe not. You go to church and you're getting spoken right to, man. I'm telling you, Pastor Jerry spoke right to me. Lord gave him the words, spoke right to me, man. And I'm like, wow, this is wild. And by the end of it, he does this thing where he's like, hey, man, if you don't accept Lord into your life, Jesus is your savior, God, he's like, raise your hand. And this is in public, man. And like, if you don't know me a few years ago, like me in public, like raising my hand in front of people, especially for something like that, you would never caught me dead, man. But I'll tell you what, my hand, I just had this feeling, this burning feeling. My hand went up by itself, man. I'm telling you, like it was just like someone took my hand, had a hand on my shoulder, and was like, "Hey, man, just raise your hand, say this prayer," you know. So Pastor Jerry's like, I'm telling you guys, like, you did the right thing here, you did a great thing. He's like, I'm not saying you're gonna see miracles next week, tomorrow, next day, whatever. He's like, but I'm telling you guys, you're on the right path. Life is gonna start changing for you. I promise you, man. But he's like, but don't look for things to happen immediately, right? So I'm like, leaving church, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like, okay, well, this is pretty interesting. You know, New experience. Kind of felt leaving really warm inside. I'm like, well, this is a new feeling here. And really, like, you ever like wanted this really cool armor, from like a video game, and you know, play all these levels and stuff. And I kind of feel like I just had this really heavy jacket on, I'm like, I feel pretty good, man. And it was but a couple days later, I was down at Gator Joe's, which is a little local dive I like to visit down there here in Ocklawaha. And I love going down there getting shrimp and stuff and just hanging out and, you know, just enjoying the water and the people. And I was down there on a particularly rough day. And, you know, everything's, again, looming over my head. I'm like, man, just thinking about my dad and like my marriage was on the rocks, and I was thinking about all these things, and I'm like, man, like life is getting, pretty rough. And I was kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, well, it could always be worse, and this is before I even knew about like the book of Job, right? So I'm like, man, life's kind of crummy. And but I think this, newfound relationships could be good for me with the Lord, right? I'm like, it's got to be, man. As I'm thinking to myself, I hear this little kid, is yelling. He's like, "Hey, sir." I'm looking around and I'm like, "Well, it's not me. I'm down here and there's a bunch of people around me, people's kids, families." And this kid starts yelling. He's like, "Hey, sir, I'm talking to you." And I'm like, "Okay." So I turn around and there's this little kid down in the water, and this dock is pretty high up. over there at Gator Joe's. If you've never been before, you're not familiar with it. And he's got this cup of orange juice in his hand. He's like, "Hey, sir," he's like, "could you hold this juice for me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, not a problem, buddy." I was like, "I'll be here all night. I'm closing the place down. I'm just here hanging out." And I tell you guys, like, I had a smile on my face. I was eating shrimp. The weather was perfect, 76-degree day, no humidity. I'm there, drinking a root beer, hanging out, listening to music. I wasn't crying. I didn't think I looked visually disturbed. And of course, this kid's coming from behind me, so he didn't even get a good look at me. And I'm smiling at him. Always smile at children. Always. Smile at anybody in general, but kids, man, they need the love. But long story short, I hear, "Sir, can I get my orange juice back from you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, buddy, sure, not a problem, man." So this kid, I hand him this orange juice back. I'm reaching down, careful not to spill it, and I'm giving him the glass, and he's like, "What's your name?" I'm like, "Well, my name's Jake," and he's like, "Well, my name's Steven." I'm like, "Well, nice to meet you, Steven." And I kid you not, this kid looked me right in the eyes, and he said, "Whatever it is that you're going through," he's like, "Man," he's like, "you're gonna get through it." He's like, "I'm telling you now, I promise you, you are gonna get through it." You know, and I'm looking at this kid. I'm like, "Buddy, like, why did you say that to me?" He said, "Well, I just had this feeling I needed to tell you that." You know, and here I am, a grown man, just busting out in tears, crying, bawling my eyes out, man. And to this day, that situation made me no longer believe in coincidence, man. Um, Coincidence, the people you meet in your lives, not a coincidence, man. I think people are placed strategically, maybe not. But coincidences, I don't think exist anymore. I'm telling you, that kid was an absolute, I don't know, can I call him an angel, godsend? I don't know. Godsend for sure. Angel, I'm going to say yes. I mean, what else would you describe him as? And this is just a couple days after, that situation scenario. And I'll tell you what, man, you experience something like that, you can try and poke holes in that all day. You're never going to poke a hole in that. I mean, you can try all you want. The timing, the place, why did he approach me of all the people? He could have picked anybody else with little kids. And I just, man, talking about crying, and it was even like sad tears. It was like tears of joy. I'm like, man, this is the Lord. Like, this is absolutely, there's no other explanation for this, man. And I was so excited. I actually ended up, finding his parents. I was like, man, can I have a picture with this kid? I was like, you don't even understand like what just happened, you know. And from that point on, I've had all these experiences that are very similar. Again, I don't feel like coincidences, man. And I'm pretty excited to share those stories with you guys. I'm also really excited to, you know, hopefully get some other people on board here to talk with me and to hang out and just to go over some things and, you know, over some subjects that are, again, kind of taboo or sore, I think, especially as a man or a male. Not to say females are any, different, but I feel like it's kind of tough as a male to talk about some of the things that I've gone through personally. And I know there's other people out there that could probably use, you know, these stories to hear and just to know that, like, the Lord's got you, man. God's got you. I mean, he sent his son to die on the cross for us, right? Like, I mean, the ultimate, you know, sacrifice. I mean, you know, and it blows my mind still telling the story right now. I just gives me goosebumps, and you know, I'm just really excited to get through these and hopefully plant some seeds in people's hearts and minds and say, hey, you're not alone. You've never been alone. Um, just, try and be perceptive, man. Like, I was not perceptive this entire time. And again, I listened to people that are outsiders that didn't even believe. And I listened to a lot of people that were just like, I can't believe, Christians would do that or not do that or do this or that. And it's like, dude, like, no one's perfect. No one's claims to be perfect. If your name tag doesn't say Jesus Christ on it, man, or God, like, don't come at me on the whole perfect thing, because that's not what I'm after or trying to aspire to even be, like, because I know I'll always fall short on that. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try. And be kind to people and love people, and you know, but that's pretty much what really has inspired me and driven me to start this. And upon reading the book of Job and realizing, man, Job lost everything, never gave up his faith, never gave up his love for the Lord. And here's little old Jacob in this big old world. And, I'll tell you, man, I was down the ground. I was down in the ground, but I'm looking up. And, you see light up there, man, and you're just clawing, you're gnashing your way back up through that pit, man. And thank God for people that threw those seeds, man, because I could smell some blossoms, coming up out of the hole, and I could see stuff. I could see light, I could see flowers. And to get up out of that pit, and to be able to sit in front of a camera and talk about the things we're going to talk about and discuss, I mean, that goes back to, the word I spoke earlier about being a light. And we are all lights. We all cast light, especially on people that are in the pits and are dark. They need us, man, like we need the Lord. He pours on us. We pour into them, and I just think it's super important and to share these things just out of love and out of, not feeling embarrassed or ashamed to talk about it, because we all go through these things. And I think this is where I'm going to cut this off before I start rambling and get into too much detail on these stories. But thank you guys for listening, and I'm really excited for what's next. I have a couple people that have already asked to be, on the podcast. I'm not sure if they'll want to be on video or not. Maybe me being on video will inspire them to be on video. Everybody loves to see a good face to, a voice, but understandably, some of these topics might be tough to discuss and talk about. They may not be comfortable doing that. But if you are, give me a holler, man. I would love to have you here. I'm probably going to change the couch setup, maybe get some chairs and a desk in here, maybe look a little more professional. But I just wanted to get these words out here, get the ball rolling, and get things started. So, anyways, I hope you guys have a blessed morning again, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys might be viewing this or listening to it. I hope this is all cohesive. I didn't really write anything down. I had some topics I wanted to hit on, and I think I pretty much kind of hit on a couple of the topics, and just my testimony, or part of it. We're going to continue to break that down, but that's really the driving factor. Really was that one experience, and it only takes one experience, guys. I'm telling you, I never thought I would be doing a podcast on anything religious, related, Book of Job, anything Christian. If you had told me 4 years ago, Jake, you'd be doing this, I'd call you a liar. I'd call you a fraud. Maybe horror film podcast. Definitely, dude. All day. Anything in the Bible or religion, I would have never. But again, one experience, man. One experience will absolutely change you. Unfortunately, you can't live my experience, but keep your eyes open, be perceptive, man. Know the love is there. And I'm excited to talk to you guys here, in the upcoming episodes. So I will holler at you later. Later, Gator.
Gave your saving grace, what it means to me, I'll tell